Towards the start of the month, I was I was flown by EA out to Los Angeles to take part in their Jedi Survivor preview event. I did go willingly, but well, the game was a lot of fun. There was also a lot of other stuff I got to do on the trip, so I wanted to do a quick video just talking about the trip in general. I'm not a great flyer, but I was like trying to convince myself the whole time that this was actually worth doing, and I probably wouldn't die in the air or on the ground, I guess, was the real fear. But this was the first event that I've ever been able to do, so it was great to meet a bunch of the people that I've spoken to online a bit, or kind of worked tangentially to, or just generally been aware of. And so that was definitely a huge highlight of I guess, my career on YouTube so far. Because a bunch of them have done the prior events for Battlefront and for Fallen Order, but for me, this was the first time. The closest I've come to doing any kind of event since I started this job was when I went to Halifax last year to meet Eckhart's Ladder and Charlie, and we hung around the city. Like the biggest event in that was when we convinced Charlie accidentally that there was an arcade at the top of a hill, and then he rolled down it.
What made you think we were going up here for the arcade, Charlie?
Wait, what? You're lying to me.
He already told you it's not up here.
Are you actually fucking lying to me?
No,
Is it actually here?
no.
Where the fuck is it then?
Got to LA relatively late in the day, so it was mostly just getting to LA, hating the traffic on the way there, because as much fun as the trip was, it seems like LA is a city where the answer to every question is just add another lane. It doesn't matter what the question is, just add a lane somewhere. And it didn't work for them. I'm just going to say it. Uh, the hotel room I went in, or I got to stay in, was very nice. The lack of a work surface was a little bit of a problem. I got creative, not really creative. It's a bench. You can put stuff on a bench. I didn't come up with that, but I did manage to put my laptop on here and sit on the ground. And one other thing I learned on the trip, I guess, was that at 31, sitting on the ground on my knees on a hard floor, not a thing that I should probably regularly do. But well, the first day we got there, I met up with Eckhart's Ladder as well as Elliot from Battlefront Updates and Cubs fan Han. We went to a bar called Scum and Villainy, which is basically just a cantina. So with a lot of Star Wars themed or sci-fi themed drinks and foods. I had some pretty sci-fi themed foods called chicken wings and a glass of root beer. So I didn't get too adventurous with that. I don't have too much from that, I don't think. I think I only have like one picture from that bar, but we got to walk down the Walk of Fame to get to it. But while we were at the bar, I also got to meet Alex and Molly, who came in a little bit later. The next day, though, was the real highlight of the trip outside of the game when we all got to go to Disney. It was a trip provided by EA, so everyone who was there for the game event got to go. So I basically spent the day hanging out with Elliot, Cubs fan Han, Eck. Also got to meet Alex and Molly again, Bombastic, and Azatru. So we all just walked around the park together. I got to do Star Tours first, was the first thing we did, which isn't actually in Galaxy's Edge. So we got to do that on the way. Almost lost Elliot about 3 times in the day, but it was really cool. I didn't have the highest expectations for Star Tours, but it felt like much more of a ride than I actually thought it would be. Like you're just sitting in the chair, but the motion in it was a lot more than I expected. So I definitely want to, if I ever get the chance to go back to any of the Disney lands or worlds, to try that again and see some of the different scenes, because there's apparently a bunch that you can get. I'm not the biggest theme park guy, so I'd actually gone to Disney World with my family when I was about 5. I think we went in 1997. And the only thing I really remember about that was that it was Halloween and I dressed as a Dalmatian. So then I saw Cruella de Vil in the Halloween parade, and that was just terrifying to me. But yeah, so from Star Tours, we went to Galaxy's Edge, had some lunch. Didn't actually get to see too many characters walking around, just Kylo Ren and some stormtroopers. I think Azatru and Elliot managed to track down Rey and Mando and Grogu. So they were definitely around somewhere. It wasn't like a huge area, so I don't know how we didn't see anyone. But while we were there, unfortunately I didn't get to do Rise of Resistance, but I did get to do Smuggler's Run, and we went off to try the Indiana Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean rides. So all of that was a lot cooler than I actually expected it to be. It was kind of like Star Tours, where it I'm not really a roller coaster guy, so it was a good balance for me of motion and not fearing death. It's the same thing with the planes on the way in, where I don't like flying very much either. So the whole thing was, well, more so the planes than and meeting people than the rides, was just trying to get out of my comfort zone a little, because there was a lot of time in the lead up to it where the flights were making me think like, oh, I should just turn the opportunity down and not do it. But I'm really glad I did. Uh, yeah, so unfortunately, Rise of Resistance did break down 3 times while we were there, so I didn't get to do that. So around 6, Eck and I went back to the hotel, which ended up taking, it's like an hour and a half trip, I think, there and back. So we got back to the hotel around like 8, 8:30, and I went to track down some food. One of my goals while I was in the States was to have some American fast food. Because, like, if you go to a fancy restaurant or something, you can get fancy food anywhere. But if you're going to be in the States, there are fast food places that Canada just doesn't have. And the nearest was Chick-fil-A, so we went to that. So we got to the Thursday, I think it was, which was the event day. So we got to play the game. That was a ton of fun. They had a little lunch event first. And then I've already done a couple videos about the game itself. But later that night, we had just kind of a wrap party, I guess, for the event, where we all got to go to an open bar. Cameron Monaghan was actually there, which was really cool. I didn't speak to him, but I did take a video that has him in the corner of it. Everyone was like really crowding around him. I kind of regret now not going up and talking to him, so didn't live up to the whole getting out of my comfort zone situation entirely. But I was within about 10 feet, so that's something. But that kind of does it for the events of the trip. Went back to LAX the next day and flew back to my cozy little home airport in Ottawa. I knew I was home when I got to this much smaller airport, much smaller than LAX and Dulles and Newark. Those were the 3 that I'd flown into and out of. But I got back to the Ottawa airport, and there was a door that was like duct tape open, and that was when I knew I was home. So all in all, really enjoyable trip. I really hope I get to do it again someday. That was, again, my first event. So it was fantastic getting to meet everyone. And yeah, definitely a career highlight. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this rambling kind of vlog video. And hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.